Ooh, we're live.
Okay. All right, welcome everybody to the final day of the DoraHacks onboarding week. Today we have with us Hemi Weingarten. He's a serial entrepreneur and the co-founder of Mint Labs, which created the first AMM-based DEX on Ton with open source and Telegram web app support. And next to Hemi, is Shahar Yakir. Shahar is a full-stack developer at Orbs and Ton core community developer. He is also the creator of Minter and Ton Contract Verifier. We will be going through creating your first Ton and Telegram web apps. And it's a friendly reminder that we will be mainly fielding questions posted on Hack-a-TONx Telegram channel under the topic Onboarding Week live stream Q&A board. So without further ado, I'll pass over the mic to Hemi and Shahar.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. Since this is the 5th day, you've probably been learning and hearing a lot about Ton. So I'm all in on this ecosystem. I think it's the best thing since sliced bread or since Bitcoin and Ethereum. And what we're going to do today is show you a little bit of magic in creating Telegram web apps, specifically for Ton. I'm going to go quickly over the agenda. First, we'll talk a little bit about why it's important to use these Telegram web apps instead of just standard websites. We'll talk a little bit about Telegram bots, how to get started with a web app, some best practices, examples, and then resources. And hopefully you guys will learn a lot. And of course, we'll be happy to answer any questions. So we'll start with why a Telegram user is not the same as an Ethereum users. If you think about it, most of humanity doesn't really understand what a blockchain is, doesn't understand crypto, doesn't understand all the underlying infrastructure and technology. And to be honest, it doesn't even have to. People should just enjoy the benefits of what blockchain technology gives us without having to know how it works. Most people don't know how a car works, don't know how the internet works, don't know how their iPhone or Android works. They simply use it to get shit done. And if we want to have mass adoption of blockchain technology in order to make transactions cheaper, in order to enjoy new and exciting applications that we haven't even dreamt of, we need to make this technology accessible to as many people as possible. And one of the things that does that, in a way, is the Ton blockchain on top of Telegram, and within Telegram, web apps. So I want to show you an example of what a Telegram web app looks like. I'm sure most of you are using Telegram in some way or other, so you may have already seen some of these things. These web apps are relatively new. Telegram bots used to be just very basic interface, but about a year ago, Telegram introduced web apps, and I'll show you an example of one of them. Really seeing them? All right, so I'm running a little movie now, and this is an example of what a web app looks like. And for those of you who want to see this in more detail, it's actually on Telegram's website, and we'll provide a link at the end of this presentation. The idea here is basically kind of like a website that's launched from within Telegram. And it's pretty nifty, all the stuff you can do with it. So how do you get started? And of course, Shahar is going to get into a lot more detail on this. But basically, Telegram web app that uses the Ton blockchain is going to have 3 components. It's going to have, as usual, some smart contract that's deployed on chain. It's going to have a web front end that can be written in React, for example. and there's going to be a Telegram bot. So in order to have a Telegram web app, you need to create a bot, and we'll talk about that a little bit. What?
The presentation.
Oh, I'm not presenting it? Sorry. You seeing it right now? I'm sorry, guys. A little technical hiccup. So there's 3 components. The FunC smart contract, which you always need when you're deploying a ton, when you're deploying something on ton. A web front end, as I said, in React is an example, and a Telegram bot, which is created using the aptly named the bot father, which is pretty nice sense of humor from Telegram. So a few design guidelines as you're thinking about what you want to build. It should have a Telegram look and feel, so people feel like it's a native part of their Telegram experience. It should be snappy and smooth and have and kind of be consistent. Doesn't matter what platform the user is going to be on, whether it's iOS, Android, or even web, because as you know, Telegram does have the ability, you can run Telegram in your browser online, and I think they also have a client for Mac and maybe for PC as well. Basically, just like the best practices for designing a website within the constraints of a smaller screen. If anyone here is an app designer, you're probably familiar with this. Or even if you just designed responsive websites, you probably know a lot of the constraints of a smaller screen. So the same is for a Telegram web app. Here's another screenshot from Telegram's website, kind of explaining a little bit about different parameters and how you define things that are going to be on the screen. Pretty straightforward, and I think just playing around with it, you'll be able to figure it out pretty quickly. So with this, I'm going to hand it over to Shahar, who's going to show you a sample repository on GitHub with the 3 elements we talked about, and just walk you guys through everything. Take it away, man.
Okay, nice. Mute your mic. Okay, good.
We're together.
Hi. Good. So the idea behind creating this repository was to help people jumpstart their development with building a Telegram web app that also interacts with Ton blockchain. So it's not going to be as pretty as the example that Hemi has shown design-wise, but it should give you all the starting points you need to build such one. So let's start with taking a look at the repository. I'll share my screen. Okay, good. So this is the TWA template. It consists of a few tooling and infra that we can use to build the app. So let's take a brief look at it. So one thing that we have is the wrapper for the contracts. So we're not gonna be looking at any FunC code in this session, but we are relying on previously deployed contracts. So one of them is the counter contract from the Ton community tutorials. So if you're not familiar with them, you have them here at toncommunity.github.io/tutorials. So in tutorial 2 here, we're building a smart contract, which is a counter. Okay, this is an excellent tutorial by Tal Cole that guides you through writing your first contract. So we're using a wrapper TypeScript class that is able to interact with this contract. We can see that it does 2 main things. One is to be able to get the counter's value, and the other is to increment the value of the counter. So that's one part. The other is what's called a faucet JSON. It's like a modified version of a JSON that I've created that allows anyone to get some JSONs out of it, just for the sake of the example for this app. And we also have some React hooks that we can use. So one important is the Ton client. Ton client is basically an HTTP client that interacts with the Ton blockchain to retrieve data. We're using the Orbs network Ton access endpoint for that, either for mainnet or for testnet, depends on the wallet that we're connected with. So that's one building block that we need in order to query the blockchain. The other is Ton Connect. So Ton Connect is another important component of the Ton ecosystem. It basically exposes any Ton Connect compatible wallet and lets you use it through a standard interface. So here we're using a beta version of the Ton Connect React SDK, which lets us send a transaction to the wallet through a bridge server, and also retrieve some information about the wallet, the address, whether we're connected or not, which network is the wallet coming from. So these are important for us to be able to send transactions to the contracts. So let's go ahead and follow the instructions here. So what we're going to do is use this as a template repo. We're just going to clone it. So we want to show here, that anyone can do it. And then after cloning, it's going to be deployed on GitHub pages automatically. And then all we need to do is to hook it up to a new bot that we're going to create. So let's start by using the template. So I'm creating a new repository. Let's call it TWA and DoraHacks. And important to include all the branches. This is for the GitHub pages deployment. Okay, and now let's clone it locally. All right, so now we can spin it up locally and see how it looks like. Good. So here, I was previously connected. So here we have the app. So we have the Connect Wallet button. It's coming from the Ton Connect React SDK. So that handles all the heavy lifting of presenting the wallet list, getting the address, maintaining the connection in local storage. So this little button hides behind it all this functionality. And we have like these snippets for interacting with the contract. So the first is the counter contract, as I mentioned. We're not seeing anything because we're not connected yet, so we don't know on which network are we on, whether it's mainnet or testnet. The other is just to be able to transfer some Ton to a certain address. And the third one will be the faucet GTON, which allows us to get some GTONs out of it. So what I want to do now is to introduce a very small change. Let's add to the transfer Ton the ability to add a comment. Okay, just so we can push it and see the update in our bot. So let's start with that. So that's going to be fairly simple. Starting the application again from this terminal. So I have here the transfer Ton component. And we want to add the input here below the two input. So let's just duplicate it. And let's add here comment. Let's create another state that we can use. It will be empty initially. We'll bind it to the state and also set on change the text with every with everything the user types. And now we have here the sender. Okay, so the sender is an interface coming from the Ton Connect hook that we've created. Okay, and the sender is what allows us to interact with the wallet once it is connected through Ton Connect. So, so comment is basically sent via a body. It's encapsulated within a cell. And in the Ton npm package, we have a helper method for that called comment, conveniently, which is something that receives a string and returns a cell. All we need to do is this. Let's see that we have the updated field here. Okay, good. So we have that. And now what we want to do is to push this to our GitHub pages. So the clone that we did from the template should already be available on GitHub pages. Let's just make sure. Yeah, so it's deployed, but it's the previous version. So now let's push this. Okay, so it's building. In the meantime, what we can do is to create our bot and link it to this repository, to these GitHub pages. So let's go to bot father and just go new bot and call it the DoraHacks bot. Okay, nice. So now we have the access token, which we can use. And here you can see that we have the script yarn config bot, which will allow us to link it very easily. So let's run it. All right, so it's asking me for the bot access token, which I've just received. It figured out my username and the forked repo name. And now it's interacting with Telegram's API. And it set the bot to our GitHub pages. Good. Let's see whether our GitHub pages deploy already completed. Okay, not yet, but you can see now if we go to the new bot, so we can launch now the web app. All right, yeah, so it's even deployed, the new comment. So now let's do a connect. And I will do it with Tonekeeper. I have it installed on the computer, very convenient. All right, and now once I've connected, I can see some things. I have the counter, which I can increment. I have the tone I can transfer, and I have the comment. So let's just go ahead and try to use the new comment feature. So hello, DoraHacks. And we see the comment here, right? So the tone transfer now includes that, which is nice. We can send some tone wherever from our Telegram web app. We can also interact with the contract, the counter contract, as I mentioned. So let's increment that. So what we want to see now is that the value of the contract gets incremented to 3 at the end. It will take a few seconds. Each block time is like 6-7 seconds in ton. Right, so we got 3 here, so we were able to increment. And the last thing is that we want to get some more JSONs from the faucet. So let's do that. right? So we got another 150 Gtons from the faucet. So this is an example of how quickly we were able to set up a new Telegram web app, a new bot, which interacts with the Ton blockchain. So we have all the building blocks that you need here in order to build such app. And we're also using some Telegram web app SDK styling primitives, such as the CSS variables for the button colors and the background colors. So this will come from the Telegram's theme. So these are helpful in building a Telegram web app that feels native. So obviously, if you're building a real world app, you're going to do a better job than this at making it look similar to Telegram web interface. But that's definitely a start, and you have the Telegram web SDK included and imported and ready to go. So yeah, I think with that, the demonstration is over, and if we have some questions, we'll be happy to take them.
Maybe we can show them at console. Like, go to the next slide.
Oh, okay. So I'll bring back the presentation to you.
Okay. Can you hear me? Great. So I want to show you guys an example of TONSwap. So TONSwap is a web app that is a DEX. That's Justin mentioned it earlier, that we developed, and basically has a lot of the functionality that we saw in the Telegram demo. But for some reason, I'm not able to link to its video right now. So you'll have to believe me and try it out. Just scan the barcode here. Not trying to get anybody to use it, but if you just want to see what it looks like, it's on Telegram. It's TONSwap official bot. So I think Shahar gave you like a bit of the first steps. If you guys want to dig in deeper and understand how to set up your bot, so I'll share these links with you. And you can take a screenshot of this slide, or maybe Justin will put this up later somehow in the Telegram group. In any case, let's just quickly go over each of these links. So the bot father is basically a Telegram tutorial on how to set up your bot for the first time, which Shahar showed. So it has a lot of info here on how to do it. That's the first link. Okay. The second link, this is the bot father. So you can see all the information here on how to start and just create your first bot. The next link is, I think we showed you the beginning of how to create the web app for the bot, right? So there's a bot, and then there's the web app for the bot. So here, again, a lot of information on how to build this up, how to design it, how to set up all the different parameters, blah, blah, blah. I'm not a technical guy, so sorry. And then the repo, which is what Shahar showed you guys, Ton community/TWA template, over that. And if you want to see the repo for TONSwap, it's in github.com/TONSwap, okay? And it has the Telegram bot, which is a public repository, and then a repository which is called TONSwap Web. You can see an actual like Ton-based type of web app running. It's live. It's been live since August, so it's been around and slightly battle tested. So I think I think that's the last slide. Yeah, that's the last slide. So we're done with the presentation. And if anybody has questions, now is a good time.
I think the first question that was posted on YouTube is by Cryptic Hood. So his question is Telegram web app like creating an all-in one app that users don't need to leave Telegram from?
So yeah, I think that's the direction we're aiming at. I mean, Telegram web apps will be, I mean, it's a lot of investment on the developer side to make it feel like a Telegram native app. So the idea is that any of these apps are fully immersed within Telegram. They get access to Telegram's SDK. I believe that over time, these kind of apps you won't need to get out of Telegram at all. They'll just feel like a native Telegram feature. That's the direction I see things going at.
To add to what Shahar just said, basically the idea is to make it as easy as possible for users. So imagine right now, if you're on Telegram and somebody tells you, hey, go to a website called uniswap.org, you need to tap on a link. It takes you out of the Telegram app, and now you've lost context of what you were supposed to do. You need to do some back and forth between two separate apps. Not as convenient as just having everything happen in a single flow. You don't need to think about 2 or 3 different threads that you need to look at. Everything happens to you in one place. Again, remember the first slide, we talked about the TON user is very different than the Ethereum user. We want it to be as simple as possible, so even your grandmother or your great uncle can use it and not get confused and not get lost. So by providing just a single thread with easy to tackle steps one right after the other, there's a higher chance that we'll be able to retain users, attract new users, and keep them engaged without giving up.
Okay. I think, so the second question is there ways that users can use this to fetch coin market? I'm assuming that's talking about prices on various places like CoinGecko and CoinMarketCap. So would there be a functionality where a web app has all the APIs and integrations needed for it to effectively service things like CoinMarketCap?
Yeah, so actually the TonSwap app already includes that information. Let me show you guys. You can actually, well, I don't have a screenshot of that right here, but basically it does provide, in our app, we already fetch information from CoinMarketCap, present it to the user so they can see what the price is. So it's not a problem. Anything that you can do on a website, anything you can imagine that you're doing on a regular website, you can do within the Telegram web app.
Got it. Third question is, the template repo that was presented earlier has a basic TG theme styling functionality, but is the TON community planning to develop a dedicated UI library that will allow developers to create apps that look more native?
So I don't think it's necessarily a TON thing. I mean, it's more of a Telegram web app thing. So we have the Telegram web app SDK that's coming from an organization called TWA Dev. So they're working on making this process of building Telegram web apps, which feel native, more of an easy process. So they have all these kind of primitives there, for creating a button, creating a Telegram pop-up, and obviously getting the Telegram theme properties. So I think most of the development will come from that side.
Just want to add that if somebody from the community wants to create a repository with guidelines and design that is more in line with like the Ton community or the Ton apps styling, there's no reason that they can't do that. And if other developers pick up on that and they like that, then why not? It's just a bonus for the community. But I don't think there is right now like a specific design guideline for Ton. And also, if you look at Ton, a lot of its design is already very similar to Telegram. Because remember, Ton is kind of like an offspring of Telegram itself. So there's a lot of similarity already.
Yeah, and obviously we're happy to take any contributions to the template itself. So if anyone wants to make the design better, I'd be happy to get such pull requests.
Okay. I'll rephrase the next question a little bit. So, Hemi and Shahar, could you guys give us an estimate of just how long and maybe how many hours of developer time was needed to produce something like the TonSwap official bot?
Wow, it's hard to say in hours because I think it's like you need to learn a lot. You need to like ramp up on your understanding of so many different things, areas of expertise, like just understanding how to program in C to do a smart contract requires a lot of work. If you're not familiar at all with blockchains, it's one thing. If you're familiar with Solidity, it's the next thing. But you still need to become familiar with the architecture that's different. So that's on the smart contract side. Now, if you're a React developer, then and you're very good at front end stuff, and you have somebody on your team that does the smart contract stuff, then it's a force multiplier. The Telegram bots part of it is probably the easiest piece. Correct me if I'm wrong, Shahar. That's not a big hurdle to overcome. It's very simple. So I would say that the biggest challenge is building a rock-tight smart contract. And again, depending on what application you're planning to build, it could be something very simple. But a DEX, and a DEX is not that complicated, especially if you look at existing DEXs out there. So that's not too tough. But if you're trying to think of a new business model or a new use case that we're not familiar with in Telegram, I think most of the time you're going to be spending is on business logic and implementing it into the smart contract. If you have chops already with doing front end and B2C type of websites, then I think you're already thinking in the eyes of consumers. That'll give you an edge in terms of creating a good user experience. So sorry I didn't give you an answer in hours, but it's going to be different for every type of developer, and you're just going to have to figure it out based on what you're trying to build.
Okay. I think we can wrap it up with the last question. And this is something that actually is coming from me and that I think would be helpful for end users. As far as building on Ton versus building on other blockchains and potentially servicing this through Telegram web app, is there currently a barrier to entry for people building on other blockchains to use Telegram web app? But why would it be more advantageous and better for people to utilize Ton as the blockchain of choice for their dApps to be serviced through TWAs?
I'll answer that. So first of all, the Telegram web apps can be used for anything. First of all, they're used for a lot of stuff that doesn't have anything to do with blockchain. Okay, if somebody wants to build a Telegram web app that interfaces with Uniswap on Ethereum or with something on Solana, they could do that. However, we know that Telegram, not Ton, has plans to build or to create more decentralized tools like a decentralized wallet, and they're working only on the Ton blockchain. So, and again, I don't know this for sure, but if I was a betting man, I would bet that in the coming months and years, there will be more and more interesting integrations specifically for the Ton blockchain in Telegram. And hence, it would make sense that Telegram web app take advantage of these integrations. And these integrations will only be for the Ton blockchain, as far as I can tell, not for any other blockchain. So that's why I think Ton is unique in that aspect in terms of an advantage.
Amazing. Thank you, Hemi. Thank you, Shahar. So I'd like to wrap up this session and this onboarding week just by saying that we want to thank all the developers and all the team members who've graciously utilized their time to onboard people for the hackathon that we have for us. And something that's unique to our ecosystem is truly the fact that if you've noticed, a lot of the developers and a lot of the project teams, they are not with Ton Foundation. They are all individually motivated, incentivized, and they're coming to build on Ton. And so if you have any questions to any of the developers who have presented this week, we certainly welcome them throughout the DoraHacks sessions for the next 2 months. For any information and playback recordings, please visit dorahacks.io under the Ton Hackathon section. Any questions, any feedback around these sessions, we certainly welcome them through our Telegram channels. So without further ado, I'll say bye and thank you, Shahar and Hemi again. Any last words for the community?
No, we're just excited to see what people build. We hope to see very, great Telegram web apps coming, like very beautiful designs and native experiences. So yeah, happy to be part of the community.
Yeah, still super early, guys. So if you're thinking, should I make the switch and the investment in time and effort after all started doing some other blockchain, I would say definitely. This is like Telegram and Ton. It's a force multiplier. This thing is going to be huge. Investment advice, do your own research. But in my opinion, this is probably one of the most amazing opportunities to get in early into the development ecosystem of something that's going to be huge. And in 5 years, you'll look back and say, dang, I made a great decision after doing this DoraHacks and learning more about Ton and Telegram. So good luck to everyone. And again, we're here to help you succeed. And this is going to be amazing. Thanks for the opportunity.
Amazing. Thank you, guys. And until next time.